Here we are at your local grocery store. There are some good guys in here, some bad guys in here, and some neutral guys. And we're going to talk about them as we learn how to navigate the supermarket. When you start into the supermarket, you'll notice that the aisles are clearly marked. Unfortunately, the highly processed foods, which contain the most sodium, the most calories, and the most fats, are usually the most accessible. We're going to walk down these aisles, and we're not even going to look what's on them until we get to the very back of the store, because that's where the best of the good guys are. And our first stop is going to be on the fruit section. The fruits don't have food labels. There's a few things you will have to know about fruits. They're the best possible items you could buy because they have very low sodium, very, very low carbohydrates of the bad kind, and they're well worth taking a generous portion. Next stop is generally right next to the fruits, and that's where the vegetables are. These are more the very best good guys. Once again, they don't have food labels on them, so there's just a few facts you need to know. The vegetables are typically reasonably high in potassium, reasonably high in magnesium, and once again, rather low on the calorie count. And of course, neither the fruits nor the vegetables have any trans fats and very few saturated fats. So that's the place you want to pick up the goodies. Next stop is the meat counter, and there's lots of very good looking meat there. Once again, no food labels, so you've got to know a little of the basics of meat. First of all, there's a lot of fat in it, and there's some saturated fats, and with all that comes a rather high calorie count. However, if you keep in mind that if you limit the portion size to a same size as a deck of cards in the palm of your hand, you can't get too much. Next stop is the fish section. Some are fresh fish and ice, others are fish that have been semi-prepared or unprepared and sliced and packaged. Your best bet here are whitefish, especially salmon. If you don't put any salt on it when you're preparing it, and you put a little honey on it, even if you don't particularly like the taste of salmon, you'll love it with honey on it. Next up on our trip through the grocery store are the dairy products section. Here we have milk, we have regular milk, we have skim milk, we have extra skim milk. Milk has lots of good stuff in it. Unfortunately, for full milk, there's a lot of fat. But if you go to the low fat or very skim milk section, you'll avoid that nasty little thing and get all the benefits of full milk. Now we're back in the main aisles, and now we're in dangerous territory. Food labels are absolutely key. Here we have canned and bottled, quote, processed foods. And there's some dangerous ones, there's some very dangerous ones, and there's extraordinarily dangerous ones. So you've got to keep that food label clearly in view when you're purchasing anything in cans or jars. And last but not least, we're getting near the delicatessen. And the delicatessen has some good things. There have been a lot of changes in the last couple of years, and there's some low-fat packaged foods in the deli. But once again, you've got to be very careful because there's some bad guys in here too. So we got to keep track of the food label. Now, I hope all of you have made your shopping list ahead of time so you won't be tempted with potato chips that are carefully selected and put very near the checkout counter for impulse buying. Thanks very much for being with us.